great win, certainly on the road at Utah State. We just performed at a high level in a very difficult environment, and got back on Sunday. Took off and just got back to work yesterday and today, and certainly excited for tomorrow. So proud of the way we played, proud of the way that we are playing, but we know we got another really difficult opponent coming up, Colorado State, who's playing extremely well, and our guys have got to be ready. We're excited for it.
The second go-round challenge that is in every conference, and finally in the Mountain West, it's a true 20 game. Do you find it challenging when you beat the team the first time pretty comfortably? I know it ended up being an 8-point game, but you were up 17 with a minute 30 left. Do you find it challenging to get their attention for the second go-round?
I think it's a little bit different because it was so long ago. Utah State, I don't know how all the scheduled stuff gets put together, but Utah State will be a little bit more fresh on their minds, where you almost feel like you're doing a brand new scout. I think our guys remember it somewhat, but I don't remember what game it was in the conference play, but it was certainly very early. What was it? Yeah, it was the second game. So it was over a month ago, so I don't think so. I mean, I think our guys understand right now, this time of year, how important all these games are. They see how well Colorado State is playing. So I would hope their focus is really good right now.
When you say it is like a whole new scout, I'm curious then what you see that might be a little different from then, if anything, or are they just better at what they were doing then?
Oh, I think everybody's better. I think they've got really good momentum right now. They've won some extremely close games and figured it out. And Boise game was a great game. So they're getting it done and playing very well. So I think that was just so early. I don't think anyone knew their team at the time. Colorado State lost a lot. We lost a lot. They had a really important piece back with Nick Clifford. We had one certainly with Donovan, but we weren't ourselves. They weren't there. So like when I watch the game, rewatch it, I think they look better, but we look better. So I just think it's a whole new game, and our guys will be ready.
All right, and you mentioned him, Donovan, Neek, and I guess you could probably sort of whatever that was me.
Yeah.
Neek, Tyson. I know it's midway, and I know how much you like talking awards, but those are the players that are probably kind of front runners right now for Player of the Year, and Neek's having a year worthy of that. What challenges does he present? Why is he having such a good year when you look at him on tape?
Well, he's pro prospect. Size, really size and skill, can hit a mid-range, can knock down a three. Doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses, honestly. Happy to see a guy like him come back to Colorado State. Retention is huge, and Colorado State's obviously done a great job of building a program that people like him or Isaiah Stevens, they kind of dip their toe in the NBA waters and then decide to come back, and it's only going to be beneficial for him. So I don't see a huge weakness in his game. When you watch him, I think you understand why NBA scouts would be intrigued by him. He's got that type of game that would fit in. So he deserves to be in that conversation to be Player of the Year, first team type all-conference player.
How much do you think this team has grown from something like the San Jose State loss? Because I know you talk about how defensively this team has come along, but it even seems like the mentality going on the road, getting these road wins, a dominant road win, seems like they've even matured a bit too and settled in.
I would say, for me, the New Mexico State game was way more of a transformative kind of loss than maybe San Jose. I still argue with people that I don't think we played that poorly versus San Jose. I think it just could have gotten 2 rebounds at the end and we'd be sitting undefeated. But who knows? If we win that game, maybe we lose something else. You just never know. But we were ready to go. San Jose is a scary matchup. But I think we learned a lot from the New Mexico State game, because if you remember that game, we just could not make shots, but we couldn't get stops. And we've had some games where we couldn't make shots, but we figured out how to kind of shut down the water, so to speak, and go get some stops and rebounds. And that's I think been the key. I mean, our defense since beginning of December has been pretty good.
That second half, just watching the game down by 6 and you almost win by 20. Did that final score even surprise you a little bit, or not at all?
you try really hard to stay in the moment as best you can and not assume anything. You never know. I mean, I thought the prep leading up to Utah State would be really good. I knew that Utah State had been playing extremely well. It's a difficult place to win. But I thought our guys would be ready. Now, I liked kind of where we were at going into the locker room. Had some foul trouble. We're only down, 6? And just continue to guard, get stops, and we started to make some shots. So I never have a preconceived assumption of how a game is going to go, because every time I do that, it never goes the way that you think it is. But certainly just proud of the way we competed.
You talked about your defense being pretty good since middle of December, but what is it specifically that changed that got you to this point?
Well, our defense was great versus UCLA, so it's been consistently pretty good. So I don't think it's like one thing changed by any means. I just think it's a buy-in, I do think size on the perimeter has helped somewhat. Finishing those possessions with a rebound has been good. We've always had the ability to somewhat turn teams over. But I just think they're connected. I think they understand that you're not going to win, especially on the road, if you don't guard. So the buy-in's been really, really good in the locker room. And I don't think anything has changed. Every year you're going to have to start over. I just think it's getting better and better.
The second half against Utah State was obviously pretty good. You scored 52 points, but it seems to me like the more impressive part was the first half, because you didn't get a lot of point production from the big guys. Do you feel like the first half kind of set the tone for what happened in Utah State?
I think the second half was better. I would argue with you there. But, yeah, I think anytime you go on the road like that and you can walk into the locker room and say, okay, we're only down 2 possessions, and we had Nelly in foul trouble, you want to show the opponent, like, we're here, we're ready to go. And I think we did that. But I really just try to make it kind of a one possession at a time type mentality. I don't sound the alarms whether we're down or we're up or whatever at halftime. I just try to help them as best I can in the locker room. Thought we did that, and thought we stayed the course.
And in the afterglow of the Utah State game could probably maybe swell some heads in the locker room. How do you keep these guys grounded? Because you look, Colorado State's 8-2. They have been playing well, but how do you keep these guys grounded?
I think that is the daily approach and the tone that I set on a consistent basis when they get here. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. My demeanor rarely changes. Doesn't matter if we've won a couple in a row, lost a couple in a row. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to celebrate. As I told them after the game, we didn't cut down any nets. Nobody gave us any T-shirts or rings or whatever. So it was a great win. Be very, very proud of it. Get back to work. And our guys did that yesterday. And so I don't feed into a lot of Twitter mentions, fans, all those things. I'm very, very appreciative when people write nice things about us, say nice things to me. I do appreciate it, but I take it all with a grain of salt.
You got to stole my question. Keeping them grounded with this much success, you're at the top of the league. What is it about this team that is different, in your opinion? I mean, they just seem to be, the role players are playing better, the bench is playing better. It's like, is it everybody's just playing their role? I mean, because you always have Donovan Dent and you have...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this team is different. I think 2 years ago, I liked that team a lot. We went to the NIT, which I was proud of. Last year, won a conference tournament championship, won 26 games. I thought we were pretty darn good last year as well. So I don't think this team is any different. Every team is different. I don't know. I think guys are bought into the collective unit of trying to get back to an NCAA tournament, which we know is very, very hard. Trying to win a Mountain West, we know is very challenging. So, no, I think the tone, the commitment to winning has been pretty consistent over the last couple of years.
Half-court offense kind of being maybe less than your transition offense is something I've talked about and asked you questions about all year. If there's one stat on the stat sheet that actually, after the fact, I kind of realized, an hour after the game really stood out to me, was you guys had 0 fast break points and you blew a team out. That stat stand out to you in any way? I mean, are you surprised that you guys weren't able to get in transition at all? really. Well, I guess there was some transition, but no fast break points. And win like
Yeah, I didn't know what's the difference. I don't. I saw.
6 seconds within the. I think it's the 6 second thing.
Gotcha.
You guys go
Yeah. I saw it and I was like, wow, that's weird. I try not to overthink it. If you're scoring 52 points on the road in the second half, I don't really care how we score. So maybe their ability to get back. I don't know. I don't think we turned them over an insane amount of times. It was like 8 or 9. So no, I mean, your transition offense is always going to be better. You're not going to get to set defense. I loved our execution versus their zone. I thought it was really, really good that game. So I don't know. I think if you look at our team from statistical numbers, free throw line and 3 are really the two that I think free throws gotten better. 3-point line, obviously we shot it well that game, and I think if we do those things, those numbers will continue to improve.
All right. I know how much you like awards.
Yeah.
Nelly got a weekly award. Donovan was on a watch list for Player of the Year and snubbed from a point guard watch list in the middle, and that one did get a reaction from you. I do know what you think about awards, but I'm going to ask you about all of those. Donnie 1-1 and Nelly getting his Player of the Week. What do you think this week of those awards?
Player of the Week, I think, is silly. I love that Nelly gets recognition because he's a phenomenal person, and I love him, and Donovan love him. But they like it. It's not really for me. Donovan, I saw that release. I don't pretend to know all these other players very, very well. I mean, I watch St. John's and I watch us. But I will just say Donovan, from an impact standpoint, in my opinion, is absolutely a top 10 point guard in the country. Now, we set team goals every single year, and I would hope Donovan's individual goal is to not be the whatever it is, Bob Cousy point. Like, that shouldn't be on his radar. Donovan's radar, in my opinion, should be obviously, hopefully, to graduate from the University of New Mexico, hopefully to develop as a human being, hopefully to be in a position to play NBA basketball, if not NBA, then overseas or G League or whatever he desires to do, help us win, which I know he's done that. Being on a Bob Cousy award list, it doesn't get him anywhere, in my opinion. With that being said, though, he deserves to be on it. He's extremely impactful, so I don't care. Those things don't motivate me, but they probably motivate the players more than I put into it. But the noise, the disrespect, like, I don't know. I'm so past all caring about all those things, but they probably do care about it.
CSU, Jalen Lake has actually been kind of really stepping up for them. Can you speak about like how you guys are scouting Jalen Lake, who's helping?
Yeah, he's playing well. Like when we played him over a month ago, we've always liked him. Another retention player that they got to come back. So just making shots, making some big shots. They're always going to have some skilled guys. That's part of Coach Medved's system is that. It's kind of like John Beilein at Michigan when I was in the Big Ten. Very, very similar type philosophy of what they do. So Lake is a perfect system player, and they're right back to lose Isaiah Stevens, maybe one of the best players to ever play in the Mountain West, and to be right back here it's a testament to the job that they do.
They run a lot of sets. They have a really good offense, so we just got to be locked in defensively. And then, as we've been doing all year, just get the ball out and run and keep the game at a fast pace.
It's been so long since the last time you guys played up against each other, and it seems like both of you guys were a completely different team at that time. Does it feel like a completely new team that you're facing this time around?
A little bit. They're playing a lot better, but so are we, so it's going to be a really good game because they're tied for second right now. And it's going to be just as big a game as Utah State.
Yes, Coach Pitino, in your opinion, you're in the locker room, you know this team. How come this team has gotten better? I mean, what do you attribute that to? They just seem to, role players, bench players stepping up. You also had Donovan and Nelly. But you're watching the game or you're participating in the game. In your opinion, have they just all found their roles? They seem to be syncing perfectly at the right time.
Yeah, I just think the whole team has a great chemistry this year. We're all locked in on one thing, winning a championship. And we really value just winning the game. We don't care how we win. We just want to win.
And after the game, I would imagine one of the first things you guys do after the post-game speech is that you go to your phones and you check social media. Do you guys do that, like in the afterglow of the Utah State game, where you guys checking social media?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And what kind of, what's your reaction to everything that's being said?
Just Lobos are back. Lobos are on top, but at the end of the day, the season's not over yet. We still have a lot more games. We have a month left, so we just got to stay locked in.
Is it hard to not get a swollen head when you read some of those comments? Obviously, a lot of that, like there's a Facebook group that's devoted to the Mountain West where Utah State fans are pretty boisterous. Do you guys look at any of that stuff?
I've seen it, but I kind of don't really pay attention to it.
Okay. Then one more. About a week ago, Coach Pitino was talking about how he wants players when they're on the floor to demonstrate a certain, like a body language that makes it look like they actually belong out there. What do you think he means by that? And in that respect, when you're on the floor, do you feel like you have to, it's almost like an audition tape for future playing time?
I would just say play with confidence. Just play free, play with confidence, because if he's going to put you out there, he believes in you. And so I would just say just play with confidence and just play relaxed.
There was so much conversation about what the Utah State student section and fans were going to be like. What was that like in your experience, and why was that something that didn't really seem to affect you guys?
I expected nothing less. They have a great student section, but we kind of knew what they were going to bring, and so we all just kind of just prepared for it throughout the whole week.
Talking to Coach, there's been a lot of growth and immaturity, it seems, with this team just from even a month ago. Who are some of those vocal leaders or even lead by example players on this team that have helped to orchestrate that?
I would say the older guys, Donnie, Nelly, Stoff, CJ, those are like the main ones that really lead by example. And so once we see that their maturity, we kind of just follow them.
So the NFL's mandate to protect Patrick Mahomes.
Oh.
I'm curious what your thoughts are on that heading into the Super Bowl.
You know, we keep winning, so I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to complain.
All right. Obviously, the Super Bowl is big for you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like? I know we joke with you. You're a fan and all that kind of stuff, but like, what does it really mean? Because you're not just a fan. You're like a really big Chiefs fan. What does it mean? Is it a little distracting from school and from basketball?
I mean, at this point, no, because we've been there so many times. But no, when we first started going to Super Bowls, it was a big deal because nothing happened like this in Kansas City before. So it was for sure a distraction the first few years.
I am curious that like you're living the moment. And you should be proud. And you should be, however you're acting, you should act that way. But I'm curious. Do your teammates and your roommates, Donnie and the guys, like, are they getting a little sick of you right now? Are you talking a lot of Chiefs? Or are you making sure it's always on ESPN when they're talking about the Super Bowl? Are you that guy?
I haven't done it as much this year, but in the past, for sure, they've gotten annoyed with me.
You got a separate question, but just for FYI, the team chaplain's a dear friend of mine. I texted him at the Super Bowl last year.
Oh,
Great
okay.
gamer, so
Yeah.
was Casey. I got a question for you. It seems like your defense has really stepped up. You seem to be getting a lot of interceptions of the ball or hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
What do you attribute that to? You just see more just than a three-point shooter.
Yeah, I know I just have to impact the game in different ways if my shots aren't falling. So I would say just try and get deflections, just trying to cause havoc on defense is another way I could help the team win.
One more Super Bowl question for you. What's the score going to be?
I would say high-scoring game, 38-35, like the last Super Bowl.
Eagles?
Chiefs, come on now.